Welcome back to PASC26 and our highlights from the Mini Symposium. We have two very famous guests here, Maria Gracia-Gifreda, who directs the entire user program at CSCS, and Florina Chorba, who's a professor. You have organized the Mini Symposium on breaking the HPC silos towards fairness for tackling bias in algorithms and data. This is important, in particular in these AI ages. Tell me more about it.
Well, the idea came with the fact that exactly we are going more and more towards all this AI discussion. We're developing large language models ourselves, but there are a lot of actually problems or a lot of serious aspects that we need to address. This model reflect the bias of us human beings, because we are creating this model, and so we create them as we are. Mm-hmm. And so we need to pay a particular attention to the fact that certain bias need to be at least understood, revealed, and make sure that we are doing our best as much as possible to address those biases. Because my thought was that maybe by analyzing and addressing the biases in the large language models or in AI in general, we become also more aware that actually these biases still exist and they are still strong there.
So you mentioned both algorithms and data here. Are the biases different or of the same type?
I think data is the first thing that an algorithm ingests, right? But also data is something that an algorithm produces. So if an algorithm reading a set of data reads, for instance, the data in the first part of the data set or in the second part of the data set, so the way the algorithm manipulates the data can also be biased, and not by intention, right? Or by intention, depending on the nature. So indeed, we have to address bias in each of these components separately and how they interact and produce data.
So do you feel that these 4 talks, did they bring us any closer to solving the problem?
Well, the interesting thing is that in some of the talks, I was impressed because they are really, really trying to understand how these models are working. They are trying to trace back and to connect the data and the model, and they are really making an effort also to analyze the quality of all these models that they are putting on the table. And of course, the interest is also because they want to apply these in the real world. So, for example, in healthcare, yes. And therefore, you need to really make sure that the quality of the models that you are working with are really up to what.
Yeah, and from what I've seen from the EU AI Act, you will not even get permission to deploy a model unless you can show why it's making the decision it's making, no matter how good it is on average.
So explainability of how algorithms and data work together to either identify biases or eliminate them is more important. So we plan to submit another mini symposium next year, maybe on explainability.
I was going to say that. So what should we all do next? Because this, whether we have engaged in this before or not isn't really the matter, right? That this is going to hit every single person doing computational science over the next few years.
I think explainability of performance matters, and we know it from computational science. So explainability of AI matters as well, because now it is even more prevalent than computational science. So yes.
So I think we need to keep talking about these things. We need to keep bring awareness. Mm-hmm. We also, this is also part of a mini symposium. It's a mini symposium promoted also by Ideas for HPC. And this is also the Women for HPC, the Swiss chapter for women in HPC. Now, we don't want to only promote women in HPC, because this should be long solved, exactly. Yes. But this is also a way we always try to be very inclusive and to be also not to reject those biases that,
exactly.
that we see represented everywhere. So for us, it will be important to keep discussing these aspects, because they will not be over next year, and to try to ultimately
break the silos,
exactly,
and also give technical spotlights to people who could not otherwise have a place to tell us their opinion about biases, silos, explainability,
so that's
and
a really
everything.
good call to action, possibly something we should feature more next year. Thank you so much for the work you're putting into this, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
And thank you.